Recently on the channel, I took charge of Bayern Munich for one season and completed the Champions League challenge. So I think for my next challenge, I should take charge of a more obscure team. And that's why I'm heading to the Philippines to take charge of Stallion Laguna FC. Now you might be wondering how and why I chose this team, and the answer is, I didn't. I asked my friends over at Sangalo to recommend a team for me, and they picked out Stallion Laguna for me and kindly sent me this home kit. Sangalo is a shirt-selling website with a difference, as they source kits from teams across the world with an amazing collection. As I record this, they have shirts from clubs in Ghana, Ivory Coast, Macau, Laos, Vietnam, Belize, many more. And they get new ones in every month. A great way to add a rare shirt to your collection and support the global game. And Sangalo don't just sell you the shirt, they sell you the story. As we can see on the site's Stallion Laguna page, the club was founded in 2002 and have won the Philippines League and Cup once apiece, as well as making the group stage of the AFC Cup, that's the Asian equivalent of the Europa League, once. If you want to check out the site yourself, use my referral link, which is in the pinned comment and the video description, so they know I sent you. Now I must stress this is not a sponsored video, though as I said at the beginning, Sangalo did send me this beauty of a shirt and set me the challenge. So my challenge will be as follows. Reclaim the top division title and win the cup to complete the domestic double. And we want to take Stallion Laguna beyond the group stage of Asian competition for the first time. Do you think we can do it? Let me know your predictions in the comments. The Philippines Football League is not in the base game, of course, so I downloaded Chonsuke's Philippines League system file from Steam Workshop. And this is the squad I have inherited. Some great players for the level like wide man Christian Ivanovsky and our American ball-winning defensive midfielder Craig Bonanken. We've also got a decent Cameroonian centre-back, Christian Nana, but also a worrying lack of depth in goal, centre midfield, and up front. Thanks to FM Custom Kits, by the way, for replicating these home and away shirts for me. So to improve the squad, we needed to get busy in the transfer market. But with a minimal transfer budget and virtually no wiggle room in the wage budget, that was going to be a tough task. So I brought 5 players in, all on freeze. Ivan Tudlong will be our first choice striker and will help us meet domestic player requirements. Eduard Sacapano will provide a local backup in goal. And Misak Paradoran may be in the twilight of his career, but will provide us with some quality on the right side of attack. Zaid Jawad, a dual national from Philippines and Egypt, will provide a decent option at left back, and our one foreign signing comes in from Vanuatu, defensive midfielder James Chilia. Our league campaign began in late July away to Loyola, and it would be Christian Ivanboski who got us our first goal of the season. The Argentine winger was involved again to set up Alquiros for number 2, and Alquiros then turned provider for Tudlong to score on his debut. A perfect opening day was wrapped up with a fine strike from youngster Michael Perez for a 4-0 win. The goals flowed freely in a blistering start to the season, culminating in 10-1 and 7-0 wins at the end of August. I don't know what I was so worried about with this squad at the start of the season. A great start to the campaign got even better as we thrashed defending champions Kaya 5-1 and also got a win over one of the title favourites, DHC. Of course, there had to be a wobble eventually, and it came away to Aguilas, our first defeat of the season. The goal there from Philip Younghusband. Chelsea fans might remember his epic career with them. Still, despite that blip, we sat proudly top of the table and went on another win streak afterwards, scoring for fun on the way, with new boy Evan Tudlong joint top scorer in the league. And then came wobble number 2 of the season, as Bahaduran missed a penalty against Kaya, and we went on to get completely FM'd, losing 3-0. And things got worse 1 week later as we suffered a reverse to our closest rivals, DHC, meaning we had slipped back to second in the table. Now in the Philippines, each team plays against their rivals 3 times over the course of a season, so we've got 8 games to get our title challenge back on track. Let's focus on one of the other parts of the challenge, the AFC Cup. We were drawn in ASEAN Zone Group F, with Phnom Penh Crown of Cambodia, Shan United of Myanmar, and our opening day opponents, Central Coast Mariners. We were totally outplayed in the first half, falling behind to 2 goals from Alu Kual, the second from the penalty spot. We did, however, steady the ship in the second half, with Agusanda getting us a goal, but the match ended in a 2-1 defeat. Next up were must-win home games against Phnom Penh and Shan United. We got an expected easy win over the Cambodians, an injury to goalkeeper Sakapano the only downside. It's a good thing I always keep a substitute goalkeeper on the bench. A likewise straightforward win over Shan United followed. We did have to work a little harder to get the win away to Phnom Penh, and that left us just a point behind Central Coast Mariners with 2 to play. We hosted the Aussies next and took a shock lead just before half-time thanks to James Chillier. But the Aussies muscled their way back into the game in the second half, and we had to settle for a 1-1 draw. With the Mariners unlikely to drop points in their final game against Phnom Penh, we would have to beat Shan United and rely on results elsewhere going our way to qualify as the best second-place team. We took a first-half lead in Myanmar thanks to Tudlong, and then when Niras was pushed in the box, extended it with a Perez penalty. Tudlong then wrapped up a comfortable win in the second half, earning us second place in the group and best second place in the group stage ahead of Persija by a single point. So we have achieved one of our aims in qualifying from the group stage of the AFC Cup, but I feel like there's work to be done here as we qualified but we didn't top the group. So we will come back to this competition later to see if we can make any further progress. So now let's have a look how we've been getting on in the third part of the challenge, the Copa Paulino Alcantara. We entered the competition way back in September, picking up an easy 5-1 win over Maharlika Manila. Second tier side Forza FC were easily beaten in the next round, and in the quarterfinals we would get our win back from Phil Younghusband's Aguilas. That set up a semi-final with another second tier side, Jeepney, and what a game this was. After taking the lead from the spot, we found ourselves 4-0 up by half-time, with 4 different players on the score sheet. Into the second half it took Ronnie Agusinda a mere 8 minutes to complete his hat-trick. After Jeepney pulled one back, he would get his 4th of the night. We did slack off a little after that 7th goal, and even though Jeepney would score 2 more, we stormed our way into the final like a jeepney through Manila traffic. In the cup final we would play title rivals DHC, but not until March, so let's turn our focus back to the league. After those defeats to Kaya and DHC, we wouldn't play in the league again until late December, needing a late goal from Tudlong to get a point against Aguilas. We got back on track with a win over Loyola ahead of that semi-final with Jeepney, and then the mid-season break, and the January transfer window which would see 3 new arrivals. Fullback Kevin Guerra came in on a free, deciding to head home after playing in the German regional leagues. With a couple of foreigner slots in the squad, we went stateside to bring in young goalkeeper Steve Phillips, plus Michael Rodriguez as backup up front in case Tudlong gets injured. Despite 2 Americans already being at the club, Rodriguez wanted me to bring a fellow countryman in to help him settle, so we signed Luong Quang Hong, another left back, but crucially one with Vietnamese nationality, so he can be registered as an Asian player. Once the league resumed in February, we won 3 games on the bounce, moving us back into top spot ahead of DHC, so it looks like it's going to come down to us and them for both the league and the cup. But before the title run-in, let's catch up on the AFC Cup. This is a complex competition. Groups take place in regional zones, some of which then go on to have knockout rounds. So in the ASEAN Zone semi-final, we would face Central Coast Mariners again. The one-off game in Australia did not get off to a good start as we went behind in the 2nd minute. But we have grown as a team since our opening group stage defeat here and got back in the game with a penalty from new boy Michael Rodriguez. We then stunned the Gosford crowd into silence as left-back Zayed Jawad gave us a shock lead. Angel Torres then had the home side level almost immediately, but it was to be an underdog story that prevailed on this night as Ivanovski set up youngster Perez in stoppage time, and we earned a momentous win that qualified us for the ASEAN Zone final against another Australian team, MacArthur FC. Leave a comment if you remember Bobby G's epic adventures with them. A tense game ended goalless after 90 minutes, and with little action of note in extra time, this one would go to penalties. Both sides put theirs away with confidence, despite our 2 takers being teenage substitutes who'd been thrust into the side as we sought an extra time advantage. Surely experienced winger and star player Ivanovski would make it 3-3, but his tame shot was saved. MacArthur ripped the net with the next one. Tudlong kept us in it, But Phillips would have to save this one, and he did, standing tall as the ball came straight down the middle. Agrisander then forced sudden death, and both sides survived the first round as the tension rose. But then Phillips outpsyched his opponent again as he caught another one down the middle, allowing Jordan Jarvis to seal a massive upset. That win qualifies us for an interzone playoff, but we'll come back to that after the domestic season ends, where everything seemed to be pointing to our final two games with Kaya and DHC. We followed our heroics against MacArthur with a comfortable win over Mahalika Manila, meaning a win away to Kaya could see us crowned champions. Again, not a great start as we fell behind early on. Ferrer snuck in a cheeky equaliser on 15 minutes, but we soon found ourselves trailing again as we made it too easy for the home side. Ivanovski would steady our nerves by squeezing a header just under the bar, and in first half stoppage time Ferrer would score an incredible solo effort to give us the lead. League top scorer Arda Chakar levelled the scores again in the second half, but we were not going to let this slip. Ivanovski floating in a cross which the keeper spilled to Ferrer, and that was enough to win the game and the title, which we raised at the stadium of the defending champions, and making that final game of the season against DHC meaningless. Just as well, really. Still, we topped the table by 5 points, thus completing another part of the challenge. But we still have the cup to win. We should have played the cup final before the end of the league season, but it was postponed due to our AFC Cup interzone playoff games with Ryomyong of North Korea, which we won thanks to the away goals rule. Yep, that's still a thing in Asia. Thankfully, because I don't think I could take another penalty shootout. When we did play the final, we dominated DHC and took a deserved first half lead, but we would come to rue missed chances later on as DHC grabbed a late equaliser, forcing extra time. But it was that man again, Nicolas Ferrer, who would restore our lead, and ultimately that was enough to win the match and complete the domestic double, and tick off the final part of our challenge. But hold on, don't click or swipe away just yet. We have some unfinished business. The AFC Cup. We have come so far in this competition that although we have already exceeded our aims, I just have to play this one through to its conclusion. Having defeated Ryomyong of the East Asian Zone, we now faced Indian side Odisha of the South Asian Zone. Beat them and we will face the winners of the West Asian Zone final in the actual final. Told you this competition was complicated, didn't I? In the first leg, it was Ivanovski's determination that broke the deadlock early in the second half, and he cut inside again to double our lead just after the hour mark. Fullback Guerra had us dreaming of a final, but a well-worked set-piece routine gave Odisha a lifeline. Remember, away goals count in this competition, something that was on our minds as Odisha scored not once, but twice in the second leg to put themselves in the driving seat. With 20 minutes to play, a lifeline as Rodriguez was fouled in a dangerous position, and Ivanovski got a favourable deflection to give us the aggregate win. We now face Al Shorter of Iraq in the final. This was a one-off game in Al Shorter's stadium. I told the boys they had nothing to lose, and that did the trick as Bahaduran gave us an early lead. Rodriguez then doubled that lead just 2 minutes later. The home side was stunned as shown by their failure to clear during this show of 6-yard box pinball, leading to another for Bahaduran. The Al Shorter manager clearly told his players at halftime they were disappointing the ground staff and TV crew that were in the stadium as they pulled 2 back. We have shown determination time and again this season though, and did it once more as Bonanken reacted quicker than anyone else to score our 4th and help us complete an unbelievable treble. Stallion Laguna FC AFC Cup winners. Multiple awards were deservedly collected by Stallion Laguna players at the end of the season, and I reckon that was a pretty good pick for Manager of the Year as well. I do hope you enjoyed that challenge as much as I did, and don't forget to go down to the pinned comment in the video description to find my referral link for sangalo.co. Hopefully there you'll find the next addition to your shirt collection supporting the global game, whether it be with Stallion Laguna or elsewhere.